Hello everyone, my name is Daisy Senda and today we're going to talk a little bit about why vaccines are important, specifically why they are important in children. So vaccines in childhood. Vaccinations in childhood are important because they reduce the chance of getting a once predominant disease and they help protect those children who cannot get the vaccine. According to the World Health Organization, it is estimated that the global vaccination program saved 2 to 3 million lives per year by priming our immune system to protect against pathogenic threats that pose significant global health and economic burdens. So what is a vaccine anyway? Most of us have heard of vaccines, but what is it? We know that it's recommended that we get vaccines since we're little, with the earliest vaccination recommended at birth, within 24 hours of birth, and that's the Hep B vaccine. A vaccine is a substance that usually has something in it called an antigen, and this helps our body create antibodies that will help protect us and provide immunity against certain diseases without ever actually having that disease. How do these vaccines work? Traditional vaccines trick our body's immune system to teach our body how to fight a disease without ever actually having that disease. So basically, when your body's given a vaccine, the cells in our immune system that protect you against the disease recognize it and it will try to eliminate it from your body. Specific cells called memory cells will make a copy of the foreign microbes so that it can recognize it and know exactly how to fight it off if it ever comes in contact with it. So if your body is exposed to something like diphtheria, which is a disease we don't hear of too often since there is a vaccination for it, if you're vaccinated for it properly, your body will know what to do when exposed to this disease and it won't get sick from it even though your body has never actually had diphtheria. So why should we follow a recommended schedule? This is what's recommended by the CDC and it's revised every year. A group called the Advisory Council of Immunization Practices, also known as the ACIP. They are a group of medical public health experts that monitor vaccine safety and effectiveness. They cover how safe a vaccine is when given at a specific age, how well they will work when given at that age, how many children get the disease that vaccine prevents if we choose not to vaccinate our children. And this all gets covered before the vaccine is put on the recommended list that the CDC puts out every year. As we can see here, which is the current list, the first vaccination that's given, it's at birth, and it's the Hep B vaccine, and it's followed by a series of other vaccinations that are recommended for our children that age. And if we look right here, the MMR vaccine actually isn't recommended to be given until at least the child is 1 year of age, which is important to look at when we look at certain outbreaks. So our child and our children aren't protected from diseases such as measles, mumps, and rubella until at least age of 12 months. So as we can see here, if we were to just go on the CDC's website, we can see the certain vaccines that are recommended very early on in a child's life, such as chickenpox, diphtheria, and it goes on and talks specifically about how these diseases are spread. Most of these are very contagious, such as chickenpox and diphtheria, which can be spread either by direct contact or even through the air. And the complications, which go as severe as paralysis and death if they were to get polio, to broken bones and breathing difficulty if they were to get tetanus. So herd immunity. Herd immunity is an immunization of large portions of the population that protect unvaccinated, immunocompromised, and immunologically naive by producing the number of susceptible hosts to a level that is less than threshold needed for transmission. Okay, so what does this mean? Herd immunity is what we create by vaccinating and choosing to vaccinate ourselves and choosing to vaccinate our children. This doesn't just help protect our children, but it helps protect those who cannot get vaccinated. So it's either those children that are too young, such as children that are less than 1 year of age and haven't been able to get the MMR vaccine that protects them against measles. And it also helps protect those that can't get vaccinated because they've either been doing something called chemotherapy that weakens their immune system, or they have HIV, which also weakens your immune system. So if only some get vaccinated, then we can see here that the disease and the virus spreads more easily because there's less people that have that immunity to it. But as we can see on this diagram, if most of us get vaccinated, that means there's less of a likelihood for spread because our bodies already know how to protect from those diseases. We can see in current day that this has led to lots of outbreaks because if you choose not to vaccinate, you're putting more people at risk for being able to get that disease. So as we just talked about, herd immunity is what protects us from having outbreaks of diseases. It helps protect our children who can't get certain vaccinations yet. It helps protect those who are immunocompromised, such as having HIV or going through chemotherapy. And as we can see in this report by the CDC, which was put out as of April 2019, which is very current to date, we can see that there has been an increase in these years of measles outbreaks. Measles outbreaks. Measles are diseases that we haven't seen in a very long time. As we can see, just the trend since 2010, there has been an increase where before in the 90s, there was not as many outbreaks of these diseases because most of us were getting vaccinated for MMR, which is measles, mumps, and rubella. As we can see here, the trend is continuing to rise, and that defeats the purpose of herd immunity. That means less of us are being protected, which means we are not able to protect as many people as we can, leading to more outbreaks, which tend to happen a lot in settings where there are lots of children, such as schools, Disneyland, and it just puts us all at risk. So reactions to vaccines, are they safe? This is one of the main concerns, especially to parents, because you have a fear. And this fear essentially comes from not knowing. So in peer-reviewed articles that were published by the journal American Medical Association, they've done studies with children with and without siblings that have autism spectrum disorders and followed them, and it has been shown that there is no link between autism and the MMR vaccine and other vaccines as well. So this has been backed up by numerous studies that there is no connection between the two. The vaccine autism controversy teaches us that although it's easy to scare people, it's much harder to unscare them. So if you have heard of autism being caused by vaccinations, this isn't true. There hasn't been enough proof. There's been countless of research studies done in recent years that prove time and time again that autism and vaccinations are not linked to each other. So it's important to protect and vaccinate our children. It's important to get informed. There's been a decline in vaccinations, and it's not really an anti-vaxxer problem, rather a human problem. It's because of the success of vaccines that we're having a decline in vaccinations because we don't know what to blame. Vaccinations have been proven time and time again through extensive research to help us protect us from diseases. Some diseases such as smallpox or polio have been fully eradicated because of the use of vaccines. We're seeing in current day the repercussions of choosing not to vaccinate through outbreaks of diseases such as measles that we have not seen in years because of this. So if we choose to vaccinate our children, we're not only protecting ourselves and our children, but we're protecting others who cannot vaccinate. We're essentially preventing our children from suffering and getting diseases that can easily be prevented through a vaccine if they can receive that vaccine. So these are some of the references that were used. Thank you for listening and have a good day.